Hello guys, it's Nicky Hansen. Today I am celebrating my 10th anniversary of my YouTube channel. Yes! I'm just gonna get it, my baby. And also, and I've just read it, and I'll just have the 10th says number 10 in it, and that means it's my anniversary. It's my 10th anniversary of my YouTube channel. Since I joined the YouTube channel when I was just about nearly 19, well, it's not 19 just yet. Only 2 days until my birthday was coming up, and it's been every 2 days for 2 days until my 19th birthday. It was part of my college, and yeah, I just and I would just receive and for the one of a kind of, like, you know. Yeah. When I was the third year, it was the last year of my old college, which was Glass Hills College in Stourbridge, and I missed a lot of the friends, and teachers who dared to support me, and it helped me and it comforted me, as it is a part of my world. And yeah, and I was thinking, but I think it's about when I was just about nearly 19. My hair was braided, and then my hair was braided, which was twisted. And when my mum was just about 48, and then she was with me. I lived down the road, just about a few decades later. Well, 2 decades later, or perhaps, and yeah. And then basically, and then and I just started, and from now on. So yeah, I don't reckon. When I would receive a letter from a college, and my mum was there. My mum read the letter about the International Festival of Glass about 10 years ago. It was a part of my college. The letter just saying they were glad to welcome me as the performing arts. Yeah, and I think it's a part for also. Well, I might just have a thought, and yeah, yeah. It was on that day. It was that day of a performance of the performing arts of Persephone and the promulgated the seed. So I'm talking about it just a little bit for some reason. I hope it won't take too long to have to. I hope it take too long to say it. So this is really an important thing to do, because it takes just a few moments from now, guys. So if it is if you just bear with me in your mind. So when I received the letter from my old college, my mum read the letter about the International Festival of Glass, and yeah, and they're saying they will welcome me to the performing arts of Persephone and the promulgated seeds as a performing arts. Then on the next day, it would be the film premiere of the Kids in the Cone. And for the first things first, I performed in the I think it's like the Persephone and the promulgated seed. I was playing Aphrodite as the character of the play. And I made some nice blinking mirror that at the back of the mirror when my mum's neighbour friend who gave me. who gave me a present. Well, also, then I really just sat down on stage. There was a stage watching in the light, and the audience was so speechless and watching me acting. And then if I just started, it's like, imagine that when I look in the mirror, but it's the same, I got the artificial flowers and saying, "Oh, hello, I am Aphrodite, blah, blah, blah." And I memorised the script so I wouldn't forget. Yeah, and I just like mostly and but occasionally if it's like for an honest day, and then I was just sat there reading. I was like, "What am I just thinking?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I said, "Justin, can you help me out, please?" And then I was like, "Oh yes, please." Oh yeah, Nicola. Just concentrate what you're doing. That's why my drama tutor said to me. Yeah. Also, I just sat there memorising the lines without any help and prompting. If someone else was prompting the script, then you can help this out. Yeah. And I was officially to lose weight. I lost about 10 and 9 stones or whatsoever. And I just started for the T25 workout. My former personal fitness, Sean T, he's really helpful to me. But then also, I'll think of the site. I mean, but basically, yeah, and I stopped doing all the workouts. So it's like I just had enough of it, and as well, yeah. When my friends and the teachers who have been involved in the play, I just sat down on stage thinking what's in the minds were, and also I just sat there and I was sat there thinking in the straight. Yeah, I was just about that time. The audience watched me acting, and there's some people say that some people that I do really well for them acting in another play. Yeah, and it's like something just like that. And I memorized the lines and yeah. And then it's like my hair was twisted braid, and about that long hair. It's about that long hair. When my mum's hairdresser called Sasha, who's only about 29, and has got two daughters, and one was one was a 9, and the one was well, I think it's about 7, yeah. Yeah, but now right now they're ground so fast. She's now 39, and then the other one and the other first girl is now 19. The other second girl was the other first girl is 19. The other girl is now 17. They all officially grow up now, and they started in a new college. And yeah, they're all grown so fast, and yeah. I don't think it is though I haven't seen them, but I've seen them for a very, very long time. Well, I was just about 17. And they performed a lovely acting, and I watched her, and I watched her by, yeah, and then I think, but most of that time, and yeah, and then most of that time, and I've watched it with loads of actors in part of my life. So, yeah, and then but I was officially about officially was about to lose any more weight. And then, and a few hours later, I started all over again about twice. And then after that, I had a break. I had a break, and then and also, and then it was like, you know, then I would be thinking, and then I was thinking straight, and then I did other parts of my college, the parts of the performing arts at college. So I did the few plays. I think that I did about. I think it's about the first of the performance. There was like entire life. I did entire life as I on stage. Where was at the auditorium after this place. But the next day, it was the film premiere of the Keats and Nicole, and I was playing George, the boy who actually had no education and who works in the glass industry. But then also, for that time being, when George was so sad, and then Mr. Perticle and then the Perticle was the boss of them boys, and all of the boys who worked in the glass industry instead of the education in school. So, and I just memorising the lines and saying, "Yes, sir." And I just and he walked in, and I walked towards him, and then and I heard it was like it was the trumpling, and then in the wheelbarrows, all around of it, the sound of it, like the sound, so something just like that. Yeah, I think they're all like it was pretty much idea. And when the film director helped me to direct me as to like facial expressions and anything to the sort of facial expressions, like the emotions and or even like with the suspicion, the specific acts. It's like the facial expressions of like how excited and how exciting, sad, and angry, you name it. So it is really officially easy on my head for those years. But thanks to basically, yeah, and I think, and it's like even I just stood there behind him. I think his name's Jack. Jack was my best mate from college. He was just about the first or second year. I think it's about the second year of my college. And who's there, but it actually made it weird. And then and I got the pictures I got a picture about it as well. And but basically, when I wanted to just show, and I wanted to show you guys to have the picture, like, and yeah. So I think because I reckon like it was a picture. It was a picture of me as I got the smoke around the face, and the young boy who was sad and lonely. He has no education. So, yeah, and I think it's just like but I think it's like when he was just about a little boy was sometimes. So, this is this is for the case, and then I just sat down in the green room upstairs. The film was located in the Retcon, in Redcone in Stella Beach. I remember I went there, and then it was a part of the film, and she was a director, and Rosa Figure was a director, and she was so absolutely amazing. She looks really funny. She's vegetarian. She was so amazing. And then, and it's got rid of like son-in-law. I can't really remember with the perhaps. And she's turned to me and she said to me, "You look like the Queen of Pop Madonna." And I said, "Am I?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I wish I would. I was dressed up as the 80s Madonna, which was what I reckon. And then in the next day, with all the damn crew, especially Linda. Linda was my drama tutor, and of course Justin, who helped me for the texting editor. It was successfully to help me through, to guide us the script, and guide me through, and then this was like what's in between the differences of what's pronounced. They have to making sure to get to the nice and clear, and then a nice and clear and then strong when the muscle sound. And I've just learned to do a breathing exercise, and then the A2 said, and then there's like it's like a sound of the imagine it's like the type of accents. What I've done so far. Then I just sat down in the chair watching the kids in the car. And then eventually there was one of the film there was on, and I was like, "Wow, is that in the cinema?" And everything went, "Yeah." And then that's why I just told the guy in the belt for some reason. Yeah, and I think it's like for the sometimes, and then it's like but eventually, yeah, I think the belt so many times in my life, and I was just and I wore the red top with the black and white skirt, and with the matches the cardi, or something, or something just like that. Yeah, and I think it is like for most of it sometimes, and I'm like, but yeah, so I do with that video like for some times, and it's like, yeah, and then especially Clyde, who played it on the keyboard, and I was the vocalist, and I sang the greatest love of all by Whitney Houston. It was the day of It was the day of the 30th anniversary of her first album, and the song was dedicated to my friend, who liked it a bit of, and I liked the song, which was that I ever sang in a part of my life. And then he was so emotional because he was like, "I said, all right, Dan, it's just the singing," and he was such a proud of me as a friend to be. Then I would then be stimming the most. And yeah, and I just joined the YouTube channel. What was that? My mum's house. I completely under the YouTube channel with just on this day forward. When I would have joined on my YouTube channel, I created the Google account to making sure that everything is safe and secure. And also, one of that time was like it as well. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna make sure there's enough rain for it as well. Yeah, it's turned to be a cloudy because I think it might be just going to rain in a moment, or the rain, sure. So, but yeah, and But the reason he needs, and it's like, all of these stuff, and it's like, as well. Yeah. So, on the 2 days later, I celebrated my 19th birthday. Well, I was at college, and they celebrated me on my 19th birthday, and I gave him the piece of a cake, and if someone's like, if we could like help me through, if we could help me through to the like, cut the loads of pieces. But the most important thing is just like, if they wanted, like, reasons as to leave for what I wanted to, then if I only wanted them, and then but actually if I, even though when it's like, if it's like, well, oh yeah, well, certainly you do when you do have. But basically, but it's like all of my lives, and all my life, and then when my mum was a little bit exhausted, and I was looking after her. When I was looking after her, and it's like, and I was protecting her, but it's like with a human being, yeah, and on that day, and then when I take care of her with a reefer sometimes, and yeah, yeah. So and I went to it, so, and I feel so, and I was so far, and I fitted to my mum, and I was fitted to my granddad at the hospital where he was unwell. I think that he started to decide he wasn't well. I took her to the stairs. It was on the 6th floor, I think. Something like that. 6 floors, or might be like 5 or 6 floors. Hang on. No. I can fold it if I want to. I can fold it if I want to. Yeah. Sorry, guys. It's only about. Sorry, guys. I was just like something. This is going to make a call or something. Right. Where was that? Oh yeah. When I was visiting Granddad, my granddad, my poorly granddad, who was significantly, about, but also, yeah, and also I think it was just about 75-ish. By 2 months' time, he will be 76. But unfortunately, he was being poorly at the moment. So, in the recent times, there's when he was got sick, and then there was he wasn't well, and eventually he was just about like, and I was hoping that he's just like, for recent years, when I just sat down thinking about my granddad's life, and my mum was beside me. Yeah, but it's like it was, well, basically, and anything. And I do that, but it was just such a one thing in what was like, and I just said to him, it's like, are you feeling alright, Granddad? And I says, No, he's just silent. Then he lied down, he was just there and sat down and sat down and on the bed. Sat down on the bed, there was just chattering. And the other family friend came and he wanted to talk to me in private. So my mum and I were just waited outside to privately. And I was just so angry, upset and agitated about my granddad's life. And also, and then there's like a bit, and I'm hoping, and then he was just like, he was a burden like, and I was just a bit of upsetting because of him sometimes. So that's why I came up with the hospital when Granddad was at the hospital. On following, the next day following, I was at the college. It was the last day of college, and I did the hospitality session. I helped out with the them t-shirts and the tote bags and then the tickets and then like whatsoever. Then after I finished them in college, after they finished college, and I went to visit him at the hospital again at next night. And when my auntie was there playing the word search, doing the word search, and when my mum was at home, and then I contacted her to making sure my mum's okay, and my mum was okay. And I shouted, "Hi, Mum!" And I said, "Hi, Mum! How you doing?" And then my aunties shushed me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I kept the voice down, and while the patient was asleep, and the doctor and nurses was asleep, and it's like, I just walked down through the window, and saying, why was the hell? I was just thinking, what was this like? Why on earth? What was this going to happen? Then it was like, I was just so sad and so ashamed. And then there's when I was with him, and I was just said to him, "Can I talk to him in private, please?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, sure, Granddad." And Archie and I was went to walk over to the next to the award, and then the pastor came here, and I gave him a hug, and I was reading the book, where I got the bookshelf, or where I got it from. Then when I came home, I walked down the stairs, and I walked through I walked back home, rather than catch the bus. So it's only just about a 15-minute walk. It's not that far from there to hospital. And I think about the Someone General Hospital it was, but now it's closed, and then moved to Smithick Way since last year. And on 12th of June 2015, it was me and the pathway worker named Sorry. It was I sat down and I sat in the front seat of the car with her, and I just waved to her daughter, and she was so sweet. And then when we were off to Warsaw College, and I just sat down eating the franchise chicken franchise, so I called it as well. And then when I first met Tanya Lewis, was my drama teacher, and especially for author. I think she's so tall, she's so amazing, and then she was so funny. And I just sat down and then they reviewed me in the assessment. Then I continued the English accent right in the time, right into the lines. It was just about a few words to get the test. Then we had a look around the marts, around some lessons like cards, hairdressing, and performing arts, and ICT, maths, English, you name it, and yeah. And the Leather Museum is the apartment which is located in Warsaw, nearby Tesco's. And it was such an amazing visit, to be fair. And then she was so happy, and I was just so happy. So when I came home early, and I just had an early tea, and I just had a curry gold with white rice and potatoes. Then off to the Gospel Fest. The shows and all would be. It was the show. The show would be started about about 5 and 6 shifts. I remember. Well, I stood there in the queue waiting, and then I got the VIP that I looked forward to see Kurt Franklin on stage. When I wore the black and gold sequins with the gold leggings, with the blush pink high heels shoes, with my atmosphere, my feet was so killing me, and I couldn't stand up enough. I couldn't stand enough. My feet were swelling up. Yeah, and then I met Nikki Taper. Nikki Taper was the radio presenter in the West Midlands, the BBC West Midlands, every Sunday of the gospel, every Sunday. So followed by the All Kinds as well. Then the first actor was Listen Band, and I saw the Loreen Cato was the gospel singer of all time. She got a vocal range, and the voice was so beautiful. And then the Peter Spence, he was such a handsome man and on nervy. He's a reggae music and a reggae gospel singer. And I saw him on stage, walking on stage, and I was like, and then he's got this big mark in his hands. Well, it's very strange because it's got a bleach hands. He needed to be more careful how to use the bleachers on his hand. It causes skin bleach, but I didn't like it at all. Then I needed to fish you a break. Yeah, and then that's it was also yeah, and then and once the intervision was finished. And the Rachel Kerr is such an amazing singer in the whole world, and she won Mumbo Awards, same as the Loreen Cato. And I just saw him in the backing vocalist on stage, which was located at the Bedford Convention Centre, nearby the Kenwick Way, and opposite to the Kevin's Way. So, yeah. And I think, after the intimation that the last actor was Kurt Franklin, and I met him for the first time on stage. He sang, he rapped to me, and all the choirs sang, and the whole world, I was rejoicing, and you name it. Yeah, and then it's I just met him, and I've just met Kev Franklin loads of times. He lives in America. To get from America to UK, it's only about just 4 hours flight, and it's this very long journey where he was. Yeah, and I just said to Kirk, I said, "Would you like to call me?" And then I said, "Yeah, sure you can. And then it was like, "Oh yeah." That Kurt Franklin was the sweetest man on earth. Yeah. I hope, and it's alive. if it's a January or nothing as well. So, and I was just seen, and I was just saw with that show, Robert Alexander Giles as a Michael Jackson, and the shows and there's loads of shows on the gig, and I just travel by taxi to get from West Bromwich to Telford. It's only about in an hour to it's only that far. I only just paid the 40 quid for the fare. So, well, I was just waiting for the taxi to come, and it was really dark and it was pitch dark. And my foot was swelling up, that was the problem. Then the following the next day, and I watched the Try of the Peter Pan. It was there, the cast and the generate, the cast and the crew, the people with the learning disabilities, and the volunteers, and especially Emma Francis. She was my drama teacher in the whole world. She was so lovely, and she taught me how to act and taught me how to use emotions. And I just went to the Stalbridge Town Hall, to watch the play of the Troy Peter Pan. And after the show, and I joined them for the buffet. I remember all of my friends and on there, and it's like there's a program in every cast and the crew. All those times they worked so well, and especially for Susan. And she was so brave as she was. Then also when she was so lovely and so generous, so kind, amazing work at all times. And then yeah, something like that. I remember wearing the Who's Bad t-shirt of the one that I made. I used those pen marks that I've just drew them, and yeah, especially for Sharpie pens that I've just made them, and I didn't like the washing them. The markers came off quickly. Then I had to just start again, and it's like yeah. But then on my uncle's 14th birthday, that was my day. That was the day of my graduation. I dressed up as Madonna, the 80s Madonna, and then I've got like there's a blingy belt with a blingy, something's just like that. And eventually, and it's like and I think in this like for the emotionally, when I started as a speech, after the rehearsal for the speech, and then I prepared for the exhibition, how well I was. I did all the hard work, I did the weaving, I did the leather work, and then the cooking and the whatsoever, and you name it. So, but so far so good, and then, but potentially, and then I had a speech. We had a rehearsal at the speech. Just before that, then we had this. Then in the day, and then I just I did really well. So, yeah, and I think it's about yeah. So, I thought, and I wore with the graduation outfit, which was the 80s Madonna. And I remember that my nails did a bit long enough, but I didn't like it at all. And I just kept away with the nail glue. So, and I was officially nearly overweight as well, but there's something uncomfortable about the situation. So, yeah, and I think it's like, But right now, I'm 9 stone. But right now, I'm 9 stone. I'm perfect. I'm great. And then, yeah. So, and anyways, and guys, and then, but I think it's like, you know, the pretend, but basically, it was the last day. It was the last day of my college, and I said a farewell to them, to my friends and family, to my friends and teachers, who dared to miss me. And then we performed the song. It's called. We performed the song of "So Long Farewell" by Sound of Music. And then they're all just then Mr. Soul. And then especially with us like my SJM, my friends, the tutors, all of the volunteers that are working for. Yeah. And then to be fair, and then yeah. Everybody missed us so much. During my uncle's 14th birthday. And I didn't just celebrate him due to my granddad's illness. So the next month, a month later, I didn't come to my mum and I didn't come to the granddad's wedding, my great step grandmother's wedding. He was lying on the bed, wishing him for the last time, and I was just so upset and angry. While I was going to shopping in West Bromwich. Then I went to the Honiton Barrett, and then I went to the Honiton Barrett to grab some things in the shop, and I was just so upsetting and so completely angry with a boy now. So, and then I came straight home when my mum was ironing, and then after packed them shopping away, and I didn't do with the like chores as well because of my granddad. Then a few days later, and then I went to the bank, and my uncle saw me there, and he's just like, "What on earth are you doing now?" And then she was like, "Hell." And then this afternoon he came here. And so far, then with this it's like, and then yeah, when it's raining, then I went to the bank and then I went to the bank in Paul Street, and I came straight home and I just walked back. And my mum and I booked a taxi to get from here to Granddad's house in Pryor Park. And I was crying for my dad. And he was past it. He was dying. And he didn't talk. He's a skinny arms and his skinny body. And my grand stepmother was there. It's just a few days after the circus when I've just watched them closely outside of the New Square. And I just sat down and sat down watching my granddad to die. And I was just crying in my tears out. It's like, and then my family was there for him, and I squeezed it in his hands, but not too hard, but it's lightly firm to squeeze all his hand through. And then I just kissed him really gently, really gently. And then he was just there. Only just a few days to live. Then, a few days later, my granddad passed away. And then I cried over my tears, and then I was so upset. My auntie was so upset that everybody was upset about their granddad's passing. My granddad's passing. Yeah. And I stopped And I stopped in my mum's house on my own, while my mum and her sister popped out to Mary Hill, and that. And I remember, and I remember wearing a black and white dress for my granddad's funeral. That dress had cost her about 15 quid. Altogether it's 100 quid. It was really expensive at Demidens. But right now, it is not. But right now, this is closed now. They ain't going to do that no more. Yeah. I think that the belter was like, I'll probably go to the viewing arrangements of my granddad. There was a few days before my new college started. Right to I did the taste, yeah. But I was really new, and I just cook the bustard on my own. Then the new term started. It was my first day of my college in Warsaw. And my courses was the Performing Arts Level 1, and there was certificate group. And then the arts just started with a new performing, a new play. The Christmas play, I reckon. So yeah. And I met with my new friends and the teachers, all of the learning mentors who were there to help me, support me, and care for me. As this is a safeguarding place, so they have to keep them safe. Then the next day, I had a day of college. It was the day of my granddad's funeral. And me and my mum were able to travel by taxi. We got off. They stood there outside waiting. Then I made way to the house and made way through the house, and I just sat down. Waiting, thinking, and while my aunties while my auntie was helping my mum's doing her hair. And I was on upstairs looking for Mum, and I was like, "Mum, are you in the bedroom?" And she said, and she wasn't in the bedroom. She was downstairs in the bathroom. And then my step grandmother said, "Is that have you seen my mum? Have you seen Mum?" He said, "She's downstairs." I was like, "Oh yeah, I was looking for you," and I was like, "I dare look at her," something like that. Then. During that time, while the few directors arrived on time, so yeah, and then we stood there and then. I'll make a way to the hearse. I'll make a way to the limousine. I think it's about 4 and 5 limousines. It was the big hearse. It was a hearse. It was a big coffin, the brown coffin. Ones of the cross onto it, just to be inside the hearse. When I made way to the limousine, where I sat in the back of them next to her, and I think about my great aunties next to me. So when I just heard the music of George Nukes of the gospel, yeah. And I just sat down silently while when I was watching the windows and through to the church to get from Westbury to Birmingham. It was really far away from here, far away. It was just about less than an hour. Then I when I just sat down silently, and then I was feeling silent. When I got off in the limousine, I remember getting out of my limousine, and my auntie said to me, I said, "Nick, just shut the door, will ya?" And I was like, "All right, my auntie, keep my hair on." And I just slapped the door lightly, without banging for without slamming the door really hard. I have to be careful because the limousines can be expensive. While I was on the queue, waiting for the music to turn on. They just stand, walked really slowly through to the entrance of the service. When the funeral ceremony began, and I was just sat down and on the front seat of the church, crying my eyes out and saying, and I was just like, and I was trembling. And a few hours later, the reverend called my name, and I just got up in the seat, and she said, "Nick, go." And then I just walked down. Then I walked up the stage. I walked up the steps. I walked on the stage, singing "How Great Thou Art," and she took over to sing the song. And I couldn't sing I couldn't sing the rest of it, but I was stood there beside her. Once it's like she was always beside me. Then the whole church service is beside me. And it said, "Nick, you have to stay strong. Stay stronger for everybody." And then, when the funeral service ended, they opened to the coffin. It was like I didn't like it at all. I was so sad to tell. And eventually, while I went to the graveside, me and my mum decided to go back home, and we didn't go to the reception. And then, I was just so upset, and I was angry and agitated about my granddad's passing. Then, here's some happy thoughts, and here's some happy thoughts for everybody. And then if everybody's so happy, and then they're happy to be back, and then was like, also, and then he was like, and I remember that time. They were there beside me, supporting and caring each other, of one another always. So this was a moment that day. A moment that day was part of like when I was here beside him. So, yeah, guys, 10 years of the channel, and I've just joined. Some of the happy thoughts, some of them are like funny, some of them a bit sad, some of them a bit like upsetting. That if you any further information, just comment below. Please let me know in the comments below. So, yeah, hopefully to share with other families and friends that were like, Just making sure that we don't feel right, alright. Then happy years and a happy 10 years of a rock channel. Happy 10 years. Happy 10 years of a channel. Then I completely joined on my YouTube channel. It was at that time of my life, and then there's a whole memories of the 10 years. Since 2015, by now, by now is this year, 2025. 10 years of my channel, guys. And I just wanted to say thank you ever so much for the bottom of my heart. And it has been a great pleasure to have you here to support me and a well-being. And then I might just going to say this about that time. I might just going to say this, guys, like, you know, yeah. It's been to that year, it's been to that since that year since it became. And yeah, and I just like it was like for the most late, and then about that time it was just on this day. It was on this day, May the 13th was my day off of my YouTube channel. That's my first YouTube channel I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, and I think it's just like when I've just joined, something like that. But anyways, and I'm hoping it's like eventually that I am so glad, I am so happy, and I'm so confident. I do my job, and I got my boyfriend, my older boyfriend, and who has supported me, and I got my whole house, my whole life, my whole an opportunity, and it's great that there's been you know. And then also, and I'd like to thank you for each and every one of you to support me, who comforted me so well, and you guys are such an amazing. But the time of you are an amazing part of my life. So, and then, just the one thing before I go, and I just wanted to say about how beautiful you are, all of you. You are such amazing. You're energetic. You're technique. You're ongoing. Your well-being, and like you name it. And hopefully, with the time as this goes by, and I would eventually, and yeah. So, and I guess as I wanted to say, I know again. This is that time when you're feeling sad, feeling happy, feeling lonely, confident. Always making sure to tell the people who may trust, who may support you and help you. Makes the dream work, makes the team work. Just be on the safe side with you guys. So, anyways, and hopefully it's just like but thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for the bottom of my heart. And thank you ever so much for being kind, caring, and generally for the love and the support of one another. And it's been a great pleasure to have you here on this channel. And I'm celebrating celebrating 10 years of my channel, and my life, and my whole opportunity, and my personal life. And then it's just like it's been in a great well, and I just remembered everything that I just remembered for, and it has been a great pressure to be there on my life, and then I pray to God, I pray to you, my Saviour Lord Jesus Christ, for eventually where they are and where they am. Please with the forgiveness to our Lord. Right? And I guess And I guess they're just like, well, I know. And I can't believe it. This has gone really quick. It's gone pretty fast. It's like, again. But thank you so much for the lovely support. And I thank you ever so much from the bottom of my heart. And it's been a great opportunity for all of us. They've been kind, they've been generous. So I hope you are having a lovely, lovely day. And I thank you so much for the lovely support of it for the past 10 years. And I hope you like it. I hope you like it. And I hope you have been nice. And you all fans, you are so lovely. You are so amazing. You are so, so, so beautiful. All of you. For the bottom of my heart. Anyways, I hope you have a lovely time. Have a lovely time. For all around the world. Again. And again. Happy 10 years. Happy 10 years. Happy 10 years of my anniversary. Yay! Happy my 10th anniversary of my YouTube channel. Right? I hope you have a great day. Be safe. And be strong and healthy. And stronger love. Caring and support. I hope you take care of yourself and look after you. I hope you to see you real soon. And I'm looking forward to seeing you real soon. Take care. Love you all of you. Bye. Thank you so much for 10 years. Happy 10 years of my YouTube channel. Ta-ra. Oh, and another thing. My birthday is on my birthday's 2 days time. I hope you're in a celebration real soon. Then again, and I'll see you real soon. And especially happy 10th anniversary of my channel. You take care of yourself, love you guys. Bye. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.